Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Monday. It's March 11th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. Real quickly, before we get started, there's a little confusion on the chart today. Uh, Today was actually rollover day. I think originally what I did was I went to the CMA site and I looked at it, and I looked at the 23. Why they still have the 23 stuff on there, I'm not sure. March 23, but that was at the top of the chart, and I just didn't catch that it was 2023, and it was saying the rollover was on the 13th, which would be on Wednesday. Instead, the turnover is actually today. So my bad. Today was turnover day. I still traded the March contract. There weren't a lot of trades. I looked at the other chart. It didn't really. I mean, they both looked identical as far as how you read the chart. There might have been a trade or two other more on the other one, but I went in and did the chart lesson on today's since I traded today, and most everybody probably a few of you replied back and says no, the rollover was today, and I almost argued with you because I went back and looked again, and I still was seeing the 11th, but I just was not seeing that it was 2023. I didn't understand why that was still on their list, on the CMA list, and you had to scroll down the page to find 2024, and so it was my bad, my mistake. So if I misled any of you, my bad. But anytime rollover comes up, as soon as the volume rolls over, it's okay to roll. And when I looked at them this morning, they looked pretty much alike early on this morning. There wasn't much difference in them, so I went ahead and thinking that rollover was really in 2 days and traded the wrong contract. But again, I didn't have any problems. The volume was sufficient. The charts were very much alike. Um, I'm sure you probably wouldn't have any problem trading either one of them. So, but anyway, I just wanted to go over that real quick in case there was any confusion, because I sent out the mid-morning chart and talked about rollover being. Um, I actually didn't talk about the rollover, and then I sent it out an update saying rollover was Wednesday if you were, because I got a bunch of questions on it, and then come to find out I was looking at the rollover dates wrong, and so I sent out another update. So I know it was pretty confusing. I didn't mean to get too far into this, but just wanted to explain what happened. So it was my mistake in reading the CME chart. Even when somebody sent me the link, and I almost argued with them because when I opened it up, you're looking at it and it's at the top. It says March, but it's March 2023, and why they still have that on there? I don't know. But anyway, my mistake. I know I'll know not to do that next time, and I'll look at it a little closer. So make sure the year's right. But anyway, quick look at our daily chart. You can see we had the big down day Friday, and then today it looked like it was going to be another big down day, and it rallies. No surprise. I mean, this market, very rarely they've been able to get 2 days in a row down on this thing. It just keeps going higher. So will we shoot higher or break higher? And I mean, you would think we'd at least get back to this midline on the envelope charts at some point, but we haven't been able to. We've been stuck in this upper part. We're having a hard time closing up into the higher end, so it does look like the momentum maybe is waning a little bit. We'll see. We're still turning down off the top of this gray channel, and at the same time, we're still closing inside the green one. So it's like right now we're really kind of stuck between the green trend channel line up here and the midline of the darker gray channel right there. So both of them are valid in my opinion. So I think you can trade them both. Pay attention to both of them rather. But there it is on daily chart. Looks pretty much like this. We traded down, then reversed and traded up on the 2000 tick chart, but you'll see that momentarily. Let's flip over there and go through the trades. It won't take long because there's not many, but we'll get through today and we'll pick back up tomorrow. And here it is, and you can see we had a trend down. We had a break, a close outside right here, move to a new low, and then we reversed. We had this trend working up, But even in here, we had a spike and channel in here. When you start bouncing kind of in no man's land like that, it probably usually means there's another trend channel or trend line or trend channel working inside that. And that's what was going on. It's still real choppy here. Well, let's just look at the other chart and see if it looks just as choppy right in there from about noontime to 1 o'clock. So here's a look at the June contract, and you can see the volume. The volume looks a little heavier in this chart later in the day than it does on mine. Not considerably, but it looks a little later. Look like a little more volume later on than what I was getting. Looks like there's a few extra bars in here maybe on some of this choppy stuff. So yeah, looks like we probably should have traded this chart today, or I should have. And if you again, I don't think it makes any difference. You might have picked up an extra trade or two over here, I don't know. But you can see there's not much difference in them. There's your June contract, and here's our March. You get the trend down, you get the break in basically the same place on both charts. New low, and then we start up. So, but there they are. But let's get through the trades here, and you can see there's not many of them, so it's not going to take long today. But anyway, 7 o'clock came as we're trending down through here and bottoming out. You make a little double bottom there at the low side of the channel, and you run up. You finally get a break. You do get a first entry, second entry here, but the second entry really triggers above this bar. I think those make separate lows. Pretty sure they did. That one's 51.11. And that's 51.11 and a quarter. So that signal bar doesn't qualify. If you took that, it was really tempting. I almost took it myself, but I didn't. I waited to see if we'd get a higher low, which we did here, and you still had room to get out. And I took it because we were still really chopping along. This hadn't been confirmed. This trend line hadn't been confirmed yet, and we're just kind of chopping along. So at this point, I wasn't sure if it wasn't going to be a range day. So I didn't see any problem. I mean, it's not a super strong downtrend anyway, so I don't see any problem trying to catch a move back up on a second entry or a higher low to retest this high here. And that's pretty much what we did. And then we came back and tested it again and got this big bearish bar. And that's the first convincing close outside. This is a little close in here. Most likely with being at this key entry point, it's probably going to take on off. But you don't know that for sure. So this is a little bit aggressive, but it is a triple test. It's a very nice signal bar. It closes back inside the trend. And the other thing is you may not have caught this one because it gaps. Notice how there's no overlap. It just pretty much when it turned down here, the bottom fell out of it and it took off. So, which is what you would expect at a trend line and a downtrend. But you did get your close outside. So once you make a new low, you got to be wondering if maybe we'll if we'll start the other way, or if we'll just work sideways, or what'll happen there. Notice how we came up short here, so that's another clue that we're probably going to at least get outside this trend line, even if we're going to go sideways or down or start another trend down. It looked like we might start another trend down here, but it confirmed this trend line working up and took off. So, but I don't see anything right in here that I like. I like this higher low. Notice the new high, first entry, second entry. So it's a second entry. It's a higher low. Very nice signal bar. There's plenty of room to get out before that trend line. So I like that. And we're looking for a possible reversal. So I like that one. And that's a nice move. If you just caught that one move and then the one back down, you probably had all you needed. And if you caught this one, you might even got a runner. But this runs up really fast and nice, and you get a close outside, 2 legs to a new high, and then you look at all that resistance across there. Multiple tests, and you get that big bearish bar way away from the EMA, go short right there. And that's another quick, nice move down. Then you get a close outside with a first entry. It pulls back, and so when it breaks below there, it gives you a second entry. I made this one green because it's a little bit sideways there and congested looking. There's still plenty of room to get out. Probably if you mark the closes, it's not, but if you look at the lows, there's probably plenty of room. I think if you just go with the closes, there's not enough room right there. You can see there's only about a point or 3 or 4 ticks there. So it's a little bit risky. There's some risk to it. But look how many times we tried to go higher. There's a triple test, a second entry short. There's reasons to, and it's all off a possible midline there and all off the EMA. So there's a chance we could start another leg down here like this first move down. And so you don't want to miss out on that, but at the same time you don't want to take too risky a trade. So I marked this one green. If you took it, great. If it works, but if you didn't, I wouldn't blame you, because it could fail on you. And of course we bounce here and confirm that trend line. And this is a second entry. I didn't mark it. Looking back on it after the fact, I probably should have, but in real time, I really was thinking, hey, there's a possibility we're going to make another leg down here. But if you saw this as a second entry, because this high is higher than this one, this swing, so that is a new high. So first entry, second entry, and that's a really good signal bar, and there's still some room back to the EMA. So if you took that one, I wouldn't have a problem with it. You're better to wait on the high or low, and then you didn't get a good enough signal bar there. When it broke high over that, I wanted to go with it, but I didn't trust that signal bar, especially right into all that resistance right there. If it had been a really strong signal bar, I'd probably go with it. But it just takes off. You get a break, a first entry, you get a second entry here where signal bar doesn't qualify. But then after the second entry, you get a high or low with a very nice signal bar right there, bouncing off the EMA, the midline of this channel, and we hadn't got back to the high. So that big bearish bar probably trapped a lot of people. It actually broke higher and turned down, so I guarantee you a lot of people started entering that bar thinking we were going lower off this resistance here. And so when it instantly turns back up and breaks higher, I like going with it there. It's a little, that's a little more, I mean, that's not typical. That's a tougher trade, a little more experience needed. That's for more experienced traders. You got to mark that green for sure. Then we're just chopping along, and we just continue to kind of chop higher. You can't go short here. There's not really a setup. I don't know if this one broke lower and went back up and then came back down, so I don't think you want to trade that. It runs down here, bounces at kind of an odd spot. So that's what you got to ask yourself: why are we bouncing here? And start looking for a possible another trend channel. What we do, we have a spike up and goes into a channel. Runs up to the highs, comes back down, and bounces again. So yeah, you confirmed it there. I like this one because this is a new high, first entry, pull back, break above that's a second entry long. It takes it a minute to get going, but it does. By the time this one came, that's just a first entry because you made another swing high, and I know that's probably tempting to want to enter, but that looks a little sideways and congested, and I just sit tight. Runs on up, and then we turn down, and you get a first entry right here, and then you actually get a second entry here that would have worked, but it's a little after, it's after 2:30. It's not an ideal place to enter there after 2:30, and so I just skip that. I mean, if you did enter it, it works. You can see it gets almost 2.5 points. So, I mean, you could argue for it to be green because it's just barely into 2:30. And if you get a really good setup right around 2:30 to 2:32, you could take those trades. Just make sure that it's a sure thing, and that's not necessarily a sure thing. although it's a pretty decent setup. If you draw your trend line to, I think you want to come off that first one there. So I think that's a break outside the new low as well. So that gives you a little more. It's just really hard to tell right there. Even if you draw it off that close on that green one, I still think you get a close outside, although it's not as strong. So it just depends on, again, that's a possibility, but I think it's a little risky that late in the day. And so, and the fact that it's after 2:30, so I'll mark it green. And not much else you can say about today. It's just kind of a, I mean, in the end, this is really close to being a range day because we still closed. We never broke outside the overnight highs. We did momentarily go below the overnight lows, and then we found support right back across there. So it's somewhat of a range day, but it's just a trend down and a trend back up. And we really didn't, we just spun our wheels today. We closed very close to the previous day's close. So, but again, yeah, if you didn't roll over tomorrow. Again, my apologies for screwing that up, but I looked at it more than once, even after somebody told me that rollover was today, and I still didn't see it. So I don't know if I'm just getting senile in my old age or what it is, but something didn't compute there with me this morning, and I kept, even after, like I said, even after people told me, hey, look at CME, it says it's today. And I went and looked at CME again and still didn't see it until I started saying, well, let me find what they're looking at. And so I started scrolling down the chart, and then all of a sudden, the light bulb went off. It says, oh, it's 2024, not 2023. And it just didn't make sense that they still had 2023 stuff from last spring even listed. It should have fallen off by now, but it didn't. So anyway, my bad. Roll over if you didn't. If you traded this, I traded it. I mean, I only took a couple of trades today. I was done pretty quick. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. This is Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.